So is there a chance that Zion does not win Rookie of the Year for this upcoming season? Well, the Rookie of the Year thing pretty much always goes to the guy with the best stats. So who's going to have the ball the most, who's going to be able to shoot the most, all that stuff. I think there's 4 candidates. It's Zion, Ja, RJ, and Darius Garland. Pretty much everybody else is going to have a role for teams, but they're not going to be able to just do whatever they want. I mean, I guess the outside chances could go to like Rui Hachimura because somebody's got to shoot on that team besides Beal. And another one could be like Tyler Hero for Miami if he just is like Klay Thompson out of the gate, which I don't think is going to happen, but hey, possibilities. So anyway, the thing with Zion is, for all the amazing things he could do, are we sure he's going to be averaging like 18 points a game in his rookie year? There's a lot of reason to think so, because he could just overpower the hell out of dudes, but in terms of shooting and beating guys off the bounce, it's going to take some time. Now, I do think he can be a bit like LeBron, where the handle doesn't have to be incredible in order to just score anyway. A lot of straight line drives, bullying dudes out of the way. But then he's also going to have the post-ups, offensive rebounds, and pick and rolls, and even on a pick and pop, Zion will be able to like build up enough steam to get by defenders closing out and stuff. But in terms of just being that like 20-something point scorer in your rookie season, which, I mean, maybe not 20, but high teens at least, which we have seen happen before, I don't think it's a super guarantee with Zion. Now, I still think it'll happen where he'll put up like 16, 17, but who says Garland doesn't put up like 19 or something, Now, of course, Zion's going to have the benefit of rebounding, and I'm assuming he's going to put up the defensive numbers with steals and blocks, but is the Rookie of the Year thing like super dependent on how good of a defender you are? Because, I mean, I've said it before, like I think Zion can be the best player, or best defender in the league at least. Best player, we'll have to see. But even if he's got like some Draymond-esque switchability and all that, and he can defend the post and he can defend a guy one-on-one, is that really going to matter in the Rookie of the Year thing? I would like to think so. It definitely should. But when it comes time to really vote for it, we don't really know. He's also in an interesting position, which I think a lot of potential Rookie of the Year candidates are not, which is that his team could actually be kind of good out of the jump. Usually that conversation is meant for MVP things, but I guess Rookie of the Year can be under those stipulations as well. I mean, that was at least part of the conversation when it was Ben Simmons versus Donovan Mitchell. Both of their teams were actually winning, but if the Jazz would have fallen off, or if Philly would have fallen off, maybe that could have been a factor in all that. If we get to the other dudes, we look at Ja. So I do think Ja is going to be really good, but I'm also not super confident in him averaging a lot of points right out of the gate because, yeah, the jumper, I mean, it's not as bad as like Lonzo's, but are we sure that Ja is just going to come into the NBA making three-pointers in pick-and-roll situations and making pull-up jumpers and all that? I mean, there has been talk about his form and how it's a little low and whatever else. But at the same time, his shooting numbers are pretty good, like 36% on threes, 5 attempts a game, 81% on free throws for 8 free throws a game. Like, those are pretty solid. But if I'm going to listen to the people who put more time into this type of thing than I do, then there is a little hesitance towards if Ja's shooting can really translate. I'm seeing here his 2-point jump shot percentage was 39%, which I think is actually intriguing, because you'd think a bad shooter would be closer to 30, but he's actually pretty damn close to 40, so maybe he'll be fine there. Don't really know. It's just you compare that to the talk around Darius Garland, who, of course, barely played in college, so it's a little tougher. And everybody's saying he's going to be like another Damian Lillard type of point guard where he's just jacking three-pointers from everywhere. Not that I think he's going to be shooting like 10 threes a game in his rookie season, but for a stat that is dependent on kind of box scory things, there's a chance Garland averages a lot more points than Ja this year. Like, what if Ja averages 15 and Garland averages like 19 and a half? And his efficiency is a little better because maybe Ja's shooting just doesn't go nuts right out of the gate, right? Could be the difference. Now, the assist numbers are going to be pretty big difference. I think Ja is going to be somewhere around 7 to 8. I mean, he's got Jaren to pass to. Dylan Brooks can make shots. Valanciunas can finish. And there's other players on the Grizzlies team that I don't remember. Whereas Garland, I mean, he's got Kevin Love, and that's the thing, but Garland does not have a natural playmaker's brain, so he might only average like 4 assists a game this season. Could be a bit of a Kyrie-esque rookie year. And then we finally get to RJ Barrett. In terms of talent around them, RJ might have the toughest time. It'll depend on if Garland has a healthy Kevin Love and stuff like that, but you're looking at the Knicks roster. It's not a lot here. I mean, in terms of assists, RJ has dudes who can make shots, but he also has like guys who can't really create to set him up. He doesn't have guys who really command attention from the defense. Well, besides Julius Randle, I should say. But even then, like, Julius isn't spacing the defense out the way that Kevin Love is. I mean, part of me also thinks the RJ Randle pick and roll could be a little awkward because I think RJ wants to barrel his way to the rim, and Randle certainly wants to do that as well. So there could be some spacing things here and there. Also, if you're going to have Mitchell Robinson there. And by the way, I like all three of those dudes a lot. But in terms of RJ's first year plus Julius's first year in New York fit, I could picture it holding RJ's stats back a little bit. In contrast to Garland running a million pick and rolls with potentially a healthy Kevin Love. It is a bit of a difference, right? But with all that being said, I do expect RJ to take the most shots on this team. And, I mean, this team is pretty desperate for perimeter dudes who can do something. I mean, Dennis Smith is here, but, Kevin Knox, he's a guy. Ntilikina is probably the worst offensive player in the league, so RJ is going to have it quite a bit. Yeah, there's a case for and against every guy here. And this is not the, who's going to have the best career conversation, just strictly rookie of the year. I think my pick is still Zion, because I feel like he's going to average 17 and 10, and the Pelicans are going to win, and he's going to be really exciting, and I do think he'll be good enough defensively to where we have to care about it, or the voters will care about it. But honestly, if it's not Zion, I think I actually go with Garland next, because I just think the shooting equals instant scoring, which definitely matters in the Rookie of the Year thing. So I guess my ranking for the award would go Zion 1, Garland 2, Ja 3, RJ 4. And that might even be who I think will be the best among those four long term, but I don't know just yet. That might be a different video, I don't know. So there you go. Shout out to Kobe White, and that's it.